nope, not that kind of video yet. Since we last spoke, yes it is, MrBeast is facing some pretty serious legal allegations. Again, Russell Brand has admitted to something that has shocked and disgusted the internet. A new TikTok trend has begun called Scientology Speedrun, and it's exactly as insane as it sounds. A Spanish bullfighter has succumbed to one of the worst sports injuries imaginable. There are now proposals to swap Iran with Italy at the World Cup, and your supreme leader is now in school textbooks. We're gonna be running through all of that and so much more, and as you can see, we have retaken the empire. It's not finished yet, but it's 90% there. So after years of wandering the wilderness, the citizens of the News Daddy Empire now have a new home again. So, I think you know what it's time for. You guys have been screaming for it in the comments. Let's stop the yapping and let's go! Again! Yes. I've got whip placements now, look at that. Beautiful. Okay, so we've got to start with a pretty insane one, because not only is MrBeast being sued yet again, it feels like it's happening all the time nowadays, but it's actually from, again, a former employee who is suing the company. This time it's different. Sexual harassment and gender discrimination. Is that different? I can't remember. But to make it even more interesting, this person has decided to go very public with their lawsuit. Her name is Lorrayne Mavromatis, and she was previously an executive at Beast Industries between 2022 and 2025, the head of Jimmy's Instagram. In fact, talking about Instagram, what makes this so much more of a bigger case now is because she has a following of her own, around 1 million followers on Instagram. And now, according to documents as well as a video that she posted to her page, she claims that she was 1, sexually harassed, 2, victim of workplace gender bias, and that the company was misogynistic. Now, her video describing why and what she is suing for has already got millions of views and around 200,000 likes, so we'll have a little watchy poo.
I never imagined I'd have to make a video like this, but becoming a mother and having a daughter completely changed what I'm willing to stay silent about. I led teams, I oversaw creative and operations across multiple platforms, but most importantly, I saw how things worked from the inside. Unfortunately, it didn't really take me too long to realize that things were not how they looked like on the outside. From the very beginning, I was yelled at, cursed at. I was even called dumb in front of my entire team after giving a business idea, only to have a man give the exact same idea a minute later and get praised.
Now, the specific charges relate to wrongful termination, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and more. One example that she gives is that she was allegedly brought into a meeting with the company's former CEO, James Warren, at his home, where he allegedly made suggestive comments about her looks and dismissed her concerns that a male client was hitting on her.
I was obligated to attend one-on-one meetings at the CEO's house by myself in an upstairs room only lit by a side lamp, and have him hear how attractive and beautiful I was.
She says that he said to her she should be more honored that the client was hitting on her. And then probably one of the most standout claims, which I really don't know what to make of, that she does make in all of this, is that she said she was allegedly told by the former CEO that Jimmy, MrBeast, gets really awkward around attractive women. And then she said this.
The CEO also told me that Jimmy, MrBeast, gets really awkward around attractive women, and I quote, "Lorrayne, let's say that when you're around and he needs to go to the restroom, he's not really using the restroom." Now,
when I first watched that, I assumed that she's claiming that he became really awkward around, attractive women, so that you'd just be like, I don't want to stand this awkwardness, so I'm going to the bathroom, and use the bathroom as an excuse. But then takes a little bit of a weirder turn, because according to actual written court documents, the lawsuit claims that the former CEO told her a beautiful woman and her appearance has a certain sexual effect on Jimmy, which, phrased in that context, it sounds like he's going to the bathroom for different reasons, but it's vague enough that you could just make of it what you will. Yeah. Now, Lorrayne also claims that she was instructed to attend a meeting while in labor and that just 3 weeks after returning home from maternity leave, she was fired and told that she was, quote, too high caliber for the role.
2 weeks after coming back from what was supposed to be a maternity leave, my maternity leave, I was let go. And the reason was, and I quote, "You are too high of a caliber for this position. We need someone of a lower caliber." Now have that make sense and let that sink in a little bit.
Now, in her comments, as you could imagine, they were very supportive, saying things like she's very brave for speaking out and how sorry they were for that she had to go through something like this. But, of course, there are two sides to every story, and Beast Industries have strongly rejected these claims. They said that this clout-chasing complaint is built on deliberate misrepresentation and categorically false. They love that categorically, don't they? In every legal term. And that we have receipts to prove it. They said that there is extensive evidence, including Slack and WhatsApp messages, company documents, and witness testimonies that unequivocally refute her claims. Now, these appear to be some of those Slack messages. Apparently, these had been obtained by TMZ. They're not totally confirmed, but they could be real. And that does show Lorrayne here saying, "Hey, Frank, I'll need to cancel and postpone. I'm actually in the hospital as we speak." She gets a reply from Frank, "Oh shit, of course, amazing. You shouldn't even be checking Slack now, lol. Sending a big hug and lots of success. Enjoy the most amazing experience of your life." Also, a representative of Beast Industries said that her being fired was not linked to performance, and both men and women were let go. It was just a restructuring, they say. And the last bit, Beast Industries said, "We will not submit to opportunistic lawyers looking to manufacture a payday from us." So yeah, those are the two sides. Mr. Beast getting sued yet again. This is crazy, man. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments, but for now, moving on. Okay, talking about sexual misconduct and tricky legal issues, Russell Brand has just admitted to something pretty wild. So, context, as you guys probably know, Russell Brand is currently facing several criminal charges in the UK involving allegations of rape, sexual assault, and more. These alleged attacks involve 6 women occurring from 1999 to 2009. Now, the trial was originally set for the summer, June 2026, but they're now being delayed to later in October. But in the meantime, Russell thought, all right, let's just jump on an interview with Megyn Kelly, and he said this. He said he admitted to sleeping with a 16-year-old while being 30. Maybe it was one of those where he's like, okay, I knew this would come out in court and everyone would see it, so maybe let's just get ahead of it. Not sure, but play the clip.
In Europe and in the United Kingdom where I'm from, the age of consent is 16, and I did sleep with a 16-year-old when I was 30. But when I was 30, I was a very different person. I was a lot younger and I was an immature 30-year-old. Consensual sex, actually, with a variety of people, when there is a strong power differential, as there is when you're a famous man that has the ability to attract women that I had at that time, I think involves exploitation. I think it is exploitative.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in, really, because this 16-year-old that Brand mentions is likely referring to one of these alleged 6 women in the same case who actually came forward in 2023. One of these women that came forward said that she was in a relationship with Russell Brand for 3 months in 2006 when she was 16. But she also said some other things that now reading after he's admitted it is kind of disturbing. She described that obviously when he was working at the BBC as a radio host, Brand would have all of these cars being scheduled for him, like chauffeurs by the BBC. And she even said that on occasions, a BBC car would pick her up from school to go back to Russell Brand's home. From school. BBC scheduled car. Now, the 16-year-old, who is now obviously a grown woman, she claims that during her alleged relationship with Brand, he had, quote, coached her into lying to her parents and told her to save his number under a different name. She also alleged that Brand's management advised him to not be seen with her, as it was, quote, not a good idea given her age, and that it was suggested she pretended to be his goddaughter or niece. Now, obviously, if those allegations are true, that really means a lot more people were complicit in something that's pretty damn bad.
Now, I think you should theme the party around legal sex.
Hello.
You all right, sweetheart?
Yeah.
What seems to be the trouble?
Well, I'm going to have a 16th party, well, hopefully.
16th party, you've had 15 up till now. Do you have one every year?
No, I only had one last year.
Right, but you are 16 years of age.
Going to be in February, but I want ideas.
That's where you're 16. You can't really drink booze yet, or any drugs, because that's illegal. 16. Right, now you will be legally allowed to have sexual partners. Now, I think you should theme the party around legal sex. Why don't you have it themed around vampires? Because I suppose what you really want to do is heighten the mood of, like, you're 16, you're still essentially a child, but you're coming of age. I think you want to heighten the mood of danger. So dress as say it's a vampire themed party. Why not? February.
No, a masked ball.
Masked ball, like
That's
oh, hold on, a Venetian masked ball. That's a good idea, Matt. In its way, erotic, but in a suppressed, suitable way for a 16-year-old girl.
But here's obviously the thing. As Bren mentioned, the age of consent in the UK is 16. I mean, you're still technically a minor until you're 18, but the age of consent is 16. However, it doesn't just end there, because there's a little bit of a nuance, because if the older partner in the relationship is, quote, a person of trust, such as a teacher, social worker, sports coach, doctor, etc., then the age of consent becomes 18. So you're not kind of getting that legal technicality in there. So the big question that will probably be debated at the trial is, was Russell Brand technically in a position of trust? I mean, either way, as Brand would probably admit himself, at 30 years old, you should know that it's wrong, even if there is this legal technicality. And of course, if these allegations that this woman made are true, that means that he and his team did know that it was wrong at the time, because why else would they coach her to lie to her parents and save the name under a different phone number? Say that she should pretend to be someone else, you know? It's just crazy. We'll just have to wait for the trial to play out. But for now, moving on. Also, talking about legal technicalities, we got a lot of these. A high-ranking official at the Department of Homeland Security has just been suspended for allegedly having sugar daddies. Is that a suspendable offense? This is new? Well, here's a little bit of the backstory. So a formal complaint was filed against 29-year-old Julia Vavero, who works as the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism. And that complaint was submitted by a much older 57-year-old executive who claims that Julia ripped him off. Now, he goes by the anonymous name Robert in this reporting, and he's apparently a wealthy divorced father, and he claims that he met Julia on a dating app and they started a relationship. Now, the Daily Mail, they say that they have spoken directly with him, and over a 3-month period, Robert says that he spent about $40,000 on Julia, buying her expensive gifts, taking her out on fancy dates or trips, and, so forth. Sounds like a sugar daddy, so what's the problem here? Well, turns out he didn't know that he was a, quote, sugar daddy. But all of this came crashing down when Robert discovered that she had a profile on a website called Seeking, which markets itself as a space where love and luxury meet. There's a corner of the internet for anyone. But I guess here's the thing that a lot of people are questioning on this story, like, is that a fireable offense? The question is, what you do in your personal life, as long as it's not affecting your workplace, does that have a problem? Well, according to Robert, it does affect her work. So Robert alleges that Julia's dating habits pose a national security risk because he believes that she is under financial stress. And the idea behind that is because Julia, she gets clearance to see a lot of sensitive matters, and that if she is, quote, continuously trying to bring different men with her to these kind of things every couple of months, that may be a problem. And Robert claims that this is exactly what she tried to do with the Winter Olympics. She said that she could seek VIP access from federal agents working for the Winter Olympics, and she said that ICE works for me. So the argument is that she could be bringing anyone into these sensitive events, and they could be a Russian spy or, Oh, and he also accused her of using marijuana recreationally. Is this really a marijuana now? Bro's just trying to take her down one way or another. Now, it's worth noting that Julia has denied a lot of these claims, and she hasn't been found guilty of anything. She's just been put on administrative leave while her superiors are looking into the situation. So what do you guys think? Is this a fireable offense or not? Does it impact your work or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But for now, moving on. Also, since we last spoke, there is a new trend on TikTok, and it's called Scientology speedrun. The goal is simple. Get as far into a Scientology building as you can before you're stopped. And if you are caught, brace yourself because, boy, they do not hold back.
Get out! Get out! Get out of the building! Get out of the building! Now! You're trespassing!
Go up! Where are you going down for?
Get out of the building! Get out! Get out! Stop it!
The thing is, this has become so much more than just a joke. It's become a competition because people are going as far as to kind of map the actual layout of these buildings so that they can plan their next runs and they know which turns to take and break what they are now calling the speed run record. This is Subway Surfer Scientology edition. So what do you guys think? Is this just a funny, harmless trend, or are they trespassing? And it's not funny. We need to get rid of these trends. What do you guys think? Moving on. Also, and this is a very serious story. So I want serious music, Alex. Seriously. A Spanish bullfighter has succumbed to one of the most horrendous sports injuries imaginable. While fighting 4 bulls at once, the man known as the king of bullfighters dropped his cape and accidentally left himself exposed. The crowd watched this incident unfold in stunned silence. Which he later described as the, quote, most painful experience of my life. Now, after being rushed to hospital, he faced hours of surgery to repair a 4-inch tear of the rectum. And despite struggling to eat and sleep because of the pain, he has posted a video from hospital after the surgery, and he said he is slowly getting better. Damn, that is, woo! That's an injury right there. Moving on. Also, since we last spoke, these men have committed so many crimes that El Salvador said, screw it. Let's just hold one mass trial all together now. It's a staggering 486 people. It's actually one of their biggest mass trials ever. And if that isn't wild enough, collectively, they've been charged with a staggering 47,000 crimes. And like homicide, femicide, extortion, arms trafficking, over a huge 10-year period. And the reason mass trials are even allowed in the country is because of provisions that were granted by Congress because they'd been in a state of emergency when they declared it because, gangs, man, they took over that country. But now, state of emergency, they rounded up about 91,000 people, put them in mass, huge mega prisons. And the result of all of this is that crime has dropped dramatically. I'm sure you're seeing a graph of it right now. It is pretty staggering. And there's also pretty stunning footage of the before and afters that their president posted recently. But not everyone is yippying about this, because some human rights groups, as well as the United Nations, they've warned against mass trials like this one because it could violate basic human rights. Things like undermining the assumption of innocence, violating due process. They don't have rights to their own defense. And at the same time, authorities are looking for maximum penalties. That's about 245 years for each defendant. And the prison that they will be spending these 200 years in, obviously they're not actually spending that amount of time, they'll be dead before then, but it's like 2-person per metal bed. It's like 100 people per cell. It is brutal. But then again, if they have done the crime, the brutality of the way that you murdered someone is unacceptable. So it is what it is. But the question is, what do you think? Do you think mass trials like these are fair in these kind of extreme circumstances? Or is this a violation of human rights? Let me know your thoughts. Moving on. Also, this popular MAGA influencer named Emily Hart, she's been going viral recently, posting about guns, Christianity, and Trump. I mean, she wrote captions like, if you want a reason to unfollow, Jesus Christ is king, abortion is murder, and all illegals must be deported. She was even making thousands of dollars selling her pictures online to pay for college. Problem is, though, Emily Hart, she is a he. Yeah. Emily is entirely AI generated. I don't know if you could tell immediately or not, but she's AI generated, and her creator, he's a guy in India trying to make enough money to put himself through medical school. But the craziest part about this is that the political situation in the United States is so sensitive right now that even AI is suggesting, it was AI, Gemini suggested to this 22-year-old Indian to specifically target conservative elderly men. One, because they have more disposable income, but two, they are more loyal. So you're basically telling them about guns and Trump and God, and you can scam them. It's pretty horrendous. The 22-year-old said in India, even in professional jobs, like I'm assuming lawyers and doctors, you can't make this amount of money. So let's just scam. I haven't seen any easier way of making money online. What do you guys think about this? Moving on. Also, this shouldn't even be a news story, but you guys wanted this. You wanted me to bring back the rapid fire and multiple story news. Well, this is the chaos you've brought among yourselves. These are real clips from this year's annual deer calling competition in Germany. Germany, what? We've actually got a story about Germany in a second. Now, this is a real sport that requires real skills and, it's intense focus, well-timed gentle motions, as you can see, just the right rhythm. And it's all to see who can most accurately mimic the sound of a deer, like calling to mate or while mating. I'm actually not sure of the details. It's a little bit disturbing if it's a deer while mating. Please don't be that, because we really need to move on from this if that's the case. Oh! But no, for real, this is a serious sport, no matter how ridiculous it may look. So we can't laugh at it because this is some people's careers. In fact, there's a Champions League of deer calling, and judges, they have to be so nuanced with their listening, so much so that they have to close their eyes to listen for each note, probably because it's very distracting, but also because it's so nuanced. And the Champions League is like, if you win in Germany, then you face other countries around Europe. So it's the Champions League of deer calling. Moving on. Talking about Germany! My God, what a weird story we have for you. I am now being taught in schools. Yeah. So over the past couple of days, you guys have been sending me a bunch of messages, students predominantly in Germany, saying things like, bro, you were in the topic in my German lesson today. And look at the pictures. I'm not just like a discussion point. It's printed into textbooks, which is something I truly would never expect to have happened in life. Now, fortunately, from the messages that I've seen so far, it's been very positive. And, so much so that I was even sending like messages, video messages, greeting teachers, being like, yo, thank you, I hope you're saying good things. Pretty crazy. But also, what up? Oh, now this makes sense. This picture is actually going to haunt me to the day I die. I made a joke video once, where we were going to a red carpet. I was like, what could make this fun? Let me set a challenge to wear one of my girlfriend's items of clothing, and I bet I could style it. We are going to a red carpet tonight, and my girlfriend said that she would bet me 100 pounds if I could wear an item of her clothing and make it look good. So challenge accepted. So here's what we're working with. This? They're kind of looking a little sus here, but don't you worry, because I'll make it work. This is the item of clothing I have chosen. A cropped leather. I'm thinking these shoes, these pants, and the rest. Not thinking really anything of it. Well, guess what? Now it's been put in freaking history books in school, and it's goddamn the one that started getting sold on the black market as well. What the flip is this? Is this even legal? You go on here, and it is life size. So even got the picture where I decided to, it was a challenge, okay, but now that's there for eternity. If this is taller than me, am I gonna be offended? Let's go for this one. Why not? I'll put it in the back of my YouTube studio or something. I feel like I'm gonna get scammed. But just like that, I'll see and wait for me to arrive. What is going on? How is this allowed? Walmart.com. Look at this. They've got the whole selection of how are you allowed to sell me? And I've never even heard of, not even the decency to say, hey, can we sell you along with Shrek, which is weirdly a bestseller? I'm more expensive than Shrek. Who determines the price of me? I'm worth only $90. Yet that feels incredibly expensive. Do I contact them and say what the... I'm baffled. God... Man! Prick. The worst fun video I've ever made. Why choose that? You can see it's a joke. Maybe it's because I don't really have any pictures. Screenshot this for the next one. Nice. Moving on! Also, since we last spoke, if this happens, it will be the biggest plot twist in footballing history. And I'm not talking about Arsenal winning the league. It's actually a really sad topic that I don't want to talk about at the minute. It's really tragic. So a US representative has allegedly asked FIFA and Trump to replace Iran with Italy at the World Cup. It's not how it works. Now, this is according to the Financial Times, who report that this is an attempt from the US to repair their relationship with Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni. But of course, as we all know, Italy haven't qualified for the third year in a row. Third World Cup in a row. So that's 4, 8, 12 years. And you want to know who has actually qualified? Iran. You don't get to take Iran out of it because you're beefing with them and then replace it with they actually said we can replace it with Italy because they have the caliber to justify the swap. Oh, and you know what I would actually like to see at this point? The US and Iran, if they both finish second in their respective groups, they would face each other in the first knockout round, June 28th. So let's all freaking hope that happens. Moving on. And then for the world's favorite and final segment today in history. Today, in 1898, the US officially declared war on Spain. Why is every time today in history the US is at war with someone? Now, this ultimately led the US to taking control of Puerto Rico, Guam, the Philippines, and it basically launched America. It's first started as a global power. Also today, in 1953, the first paper was published revealing the structure of DNA. And now you might be thinking, why is that so significant? Shut up. That is one of the most important scientific discoveries ever made. It essentially unlocked modern genetics, medicine, and biotechnology. And then also today in 1968, also, today in 1986 was the day where operators disabled very key safety systems to run an experiment on the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Now, this would ultimately lead to the very next day Reactor 4 exploding and ending in the worst nuclear disaster in human history. Damn. And that is where we wrap today's video. I hope you enjoy. The roundups are back. You rioted in the comments, and now they're back. Alex is gonna get no sleep today. That's on you. I think there's only one more thing to say. Let's stop the...